Beneath the windswept plateaus of central Turkey, where time drifts like ancient dust over stone, lies a mystery buried deep in the bowels of the earth. Not just a ruin, not merely a relic of forgotten empires, but a vast underground city, so complex, so astonishing, that even modern architects marvel at its sophistication. This is Derinkuyu. Imagine descending into a dark, narrow tunnel carved by hands that disappeared from history thousands of years ago. The walls grow colder, the air stiller, the silence thicker. Step after step, deeper into the earth, past kitchens, stables, ventilation shafts, even schools and churches. Entire levels of civilization stacked beneath the soil like hidden chapters in a lost book. How did ancient people, without electricity, modern machinery, or even metal tools as advanced as ours, construct a subterranean city that could house more than 20,000 people, complete with fresh air and flowing water? Who were they hiding from? Or perhaps, what? Could this extraordinary underground labyrinth be more than just a sanctuary from invading armies or harsh climates? Could it be a relic of knowledge not born of this world? A monument left behind not by early humans, but by something else, something from beyond the stars? What if the story of Derinkuyu is not one of simple survival, but of contact, concealment, and cosmic legacy? Tonight, we journey into the dark heart of Anatolia, through rock and shadow, through myth and science, through legend and speculation. For buried beneath the surface may lie not just the stones of history, but the fingerprints of ancient astronauts. Are you ready to descend? It began, as many great revelations do, by accident. In the year 1963, a man living in the quiet town of Derinkuyu in Turkey's Nevşehir province knocked down a wall in his basement, intending nothing more than to create a bit of extra space. What he found behind it would shock the world. Instead of brick and soil, he uncovered a tunnel. Cool, dark, and stretching deeper than his torch could illuminate. Driven by curiosity, he continued. One tunnel led to another, and yet another still. Soon it became clear. This was no simple cave. This was the gateway to an immense underground world. Authorities and archaeologists were summoned. What they unearthed over the following months and years was staggering. A sprawling, multi-level city beneath the Earth's surface, extending at least 18 stories deep. This was Derinkuyu, an ancient subterranean metropolis capable of housing tens of thousands of people. It contained residential quarters, communal kitchens and wineries, water wells linked to underground aquifers, long ventilation shafts, some over 50 meters deep, even a vast religious chamber carved with astonishing precision. Every corridor, every stairway, every air shaft had purpose and design. Some tunnels stretched kilometers, connecting to other underground settlements across the region, forming an ancient network like veins beneath the skin of the earth. But who built this? Mainstream archaeologists suggested the Phrygians, an Indo-European people of the 8th century BCE. Others proposed the Hittites, who ruled Anatolia as early as 1600 BCE. Yet, questions linger. The deeper you go, the older it feels. The lowest levels, carved with rougher tools, made from a different type of stone, seemingly predate the known civilizations of the region. Could it be that Derinkuyu existed long before the Phrygians or Hittites ever arrived? And if so, how ancient is this city really? Some researchers whisper that its oldest levels could date back not thousands, but tens of thousands of years, far before the birth of recorded human history. This raises an even more tantalizing question. Was it built by humans at all? The stone-cutting precision, the planning of air circulation, the capacity to house livestock underground for months, none of it fits comfortably within the technological timeline of the Bronze Age. Indeed, it rivals even some aspects of modern subterranean engineering. So, if the earliest levels of Derinkuyu were built in a time before writing, before metal tools, before cities even rose on the surface, then who carved the very first chamber, and why? Some believe it was survival, protection from invaders. Others suggest it was climate, a refuge from ice or storm or fire. But some, gazing into the cold black of those tunnels, wonder, could Derinkuyu have been a shelter from something not of this earth? In the winding silence of Derinkuyu's lower levels, a question echoes louder than any human voice. How was all of this built, and why? To understand the magnitude of Derinkuyu, one must go beyond the simple idea of shelter. This was not merely a cave. It was an engineered environment, built to sustain entire communities in isolation from the surface for months, perhaps even years. The precision of its ventilation system alone is enough to inspire awe. Over 50 ventilation shafts snake down into the earth, designed to circulate fresh air to the lowest chambers. Even today, walking through Derinkuyu, one can feel the cool, clean breeze of a natural air current that has flowed uninterrupted for centuries. But how did ancient builders achieve this? There are no visible signs of soot or smoke damage on the ceilings, which begs a crucial question. How was lighting maintained underground? Did they use torches, oil lamps, or something we no longer understand? Consider, too, the structural integrity. The city plunges over 60 meters deep into soft volcanic rock known as tuff, which is easy to carve, but dangerously prone to collapse. Yet Derinkuyu stands firm, supported by complex architecture and load-bearing columns. There are massive stone doors at every level, rolling boulders weighing up to 500 kilograms each, designed to seal off passages from the inside. These doors were not just barriers, they were defensive mechanisms, crafted to withstand force and intrusion. But from what were they defending? Some researchers claim Derinkuyu was a wartime shelter, protecting inhabitants from marauding invaders. Yet no known enemy at the time wielded weapons or power that could drive entire cities underground. And why would such a vast infrastructure be necessary if the danger was only temporary? Others speculate that Derinkuyu was a haven from natural disaster, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, or even climate catastrophe. But again, the sheer scale and sophistication of the city seem to suggest a purpose greater than mere survival. This is where the mystery deepens, and where theories begin to diverge wildly. Some ancient astronaut theorists propose a bold idea. What if Derinkuyu was not just a human creation? What if it was designed, or inspired, by beings from beyond this world? The idea may seem fantastical, even outrageous. But proponents of this theory point to a curious pattern. Similar underground cities and shelters exist across the globe, some in China, others in Egypt, and still more in South America, all with inexplicable construction methods and all dating to a time when humanity was, supposedly, in its technological infancy. Could it be that early civilizations were guided, taught to build these structures by visitors from the stars? Let us not forget, in nearly every ancient culture, from the Sumerians to the Dogon tribe of Mali, from the Hopi to the Maya, there are tales of celestial beings descending to Earth, offering knowledge, tools, and warnings. Were these just myths or encoded memories of contact? In the whispering dark of Derinkuyu, where footsteps echo like drum beats of a forgotten past, one cannot help but feel watched, not by ghosts, but by memory itself, a memory that does not belong to us, and yet is deeply connected to who we are. Far above the silent halls of Derinkuyu, the sky once shimmered with stories. Before satellites mapped the Earth, before telescopes unveiled distant galaxies, ancient peoples looked to the heavens for answers, and often they claimed to receive them. In the myths of Anatolia, this ancient crossroads of civilizations, there are stories of gods descending from the sky, bearing gifts of fire, knowledge, and sometimes warnings. One tale, nearly forgotten by time, tells of shining beings who came from the stars, riding chariots of fire, speaking in thunder and moving with light. These beings, said to have no need for food or drink, taught early humans to dig into the earth, to hide from the fire that will one day burn the sky. What fire was this? A comet? A solar storm? Or perhaps a metaphor for something we still do not understand? In the highlands near Cappadocia, local villagers speak in hushed tones about the watchers, spirits, or entities that once roamed the skies. Passed down through generations, the legends are consistent in one detail. These watchers came not to destroy, but to preserve. Could Derinkuyu, then, be the legacy of such preservation? A shelter not from invaders or earthly disaster, but from a celestial event. Consider this. Carved into the walls of certain ancient structures in the region are spiral motifs, star patterns, and humanoid figures with elongated heads and large almond-shaped eyes, figures uncannily reminiscent of the so-called gray alien archetype of modern UFO lore. Coincidence or continuity? In 1961, just 2 years before Derinkuyu's rediscovery, an event took place that reignited interest in the skies over Turkey, the Zeki Müren sighting. In central Anatolia, not far from Cappadocia, dozens of villagers reportedly saw a strange craft hovering silently in the sky, glowing a soft bluish hue. It remained still for several minutes before accelerating into the clouds with impossible speed. No official explanation was ever given, and it wasn't the last. Throughout the 20th and 21st centuries, Turkey has recorded over 200 credible UFO sightings, many concentrated around the same region where Derinkuyu lies buried. Why this area? What draws the watchers, if they still come, to this forgotten cradle of underground stone? Some scholars point to an ancient prophecy found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, in a text known as the War of the Sons of Light and Darkness. Though rooted in Judeo-Christian tradition, the text speaks of an ancient cosmic war, of beings who came from above and below the earth to fight for the fate of humankind. It may be symbolic, or it may hint at something literal. Did Derinkuyu serve as a safe haven during such a time? If these legends are echoes of truth, then perhaps this underground city is not just a marvel of ancient engineering, but a response to something humanity once encountered and may encounter again. So, we are left with more questions than answers. Who were these shining teachers of old? Why did they urge humans to burrow deep into the ground? And what force, visible or invisible, made such protection necessary? The stars have always inspired awe, But in the quiet corridors of Derinkuyu, it's not the stars above that haunt us. It is the stories they left behind. What if Derinkuyu was not built because of ancient fears, but because of ancient knowledge? Not long after the rediscovery of Derinkuyu, a controversial theory began to stir across archaeological and metaphysical communities. Could it be that Derinkuyu, like the pyramids of Giza, the Nazca lines of Peru, and the stone heads of Easter Island, is part of a global network of sites tied not just by cultural coincidence, but by intervention? This is the central question posed by the ancient astronaut theory, a hypothesis that suggests Earth was once visited, and perhaps even guided, by intelligent life from beyond the stars. The 1968 book Chariots of the Gods by Erich von Däniken, the author argues that many ancient structures defy explanation without outside influence. Derinkuyu, with its ventilation shafts, emergency corridors, stone wheel doors, and water access points, is among the most baffling. How, he asks, could ancient people, over 2,000 years ago or more, construct such a complex, multi-level city capable of supporting thousands without modern tools or even daylight? The deeper question: why would they even think to try? And here lies the crux of the theory. Someone or something told them how. If we assume for a moment that Derinkuyu was designed with input from an intelligence beyond its time, the city begins to resemble not merely a shelter, but a technology in itself. Ventilation shafts engineered with precision, keeping air breathable for miles below ground. Circular stone doors that could only be moved from within, acting as airtight seals. Tunnels aligned with celestial markers, possibly acting as conduits for unknown energy or symbols for star navigation. And perhaps most bizarrely, no central burial sites, no evidence of ritual, no artwork meant for human eyes, just functionality, purpose, survival. This is not a temple, it is not a tomb, it is something else entirely. And there's more. In 2015, a team of Turkish and international researchers examining similar underground sites in the Cappadocia region reported strange geomagnetic anomalies within the lowest levels of Derinkuyu. Instruments failed, compass needles spun wildly, a phenomenon often reported in places of alleged UFO activity. What does that mean? Possibly nothing. Or possibly something is still active in these ancient halls. There's even speculation, whispered among the most fringe theorists, that the tunnels below Derinkuyu continue far deeper than what we've discovered, that hidden chambers may remain sealed, waiting. For what? No one knows. The theory grows bolder still. What if Derinkuyu was built not by humans for survival, but with humans, as students, learning from beings who had once escaped their own celestial catastrophe? What if the knowledge passed down wasn't just about digging and survival, but about how to rebuild after the stars fall? Some theorists have gone so far as to suggest Derinkuyu is a blueprint, a prototype for an interstellar survival bunker. That similar sites exist across the globe, connected in layout, intention, and orientation to star systems we barely understand. It seems outrageous. And yet, ancient Sumerian texts speak of the Anunnaki, sky gods who descended to teach mankind. The Hopi tribe tells of ant people who guided humans underground during a time of great solar fire. Egyptian lore speaks of Thoth, the architect of knowledge, who came from the heavens in a boat of light. Could all these stories be describing the same truth, interpreted through the lens of different cultures? Could Derinkuyu be proof? At this point, we arrive not at a conclusion, but at a precipice. The deeper we explore, the stranger it becomes. The stone walls do not speak, but they echo something, a message buried not just in earth, but in time. And if we are willing to listen, not just with our ears, but with open minds, we may begin to glimpse truths our ancestors once knew, but we have long forgotten. As we step back from the labyrinthine depths of Derinkuyu, a profound silence follows us, a silence that speaks louder than any voice. What stories remain hidden in the shadows of those stone corridors? What whispers echo through the centuries in the cold air that once sheltered thousands? Could it be that beneath the surface of our known history lies a forgotten chapter, one that challenges what it means to be human, to belong, and to exist? Consider the very ground beneath our feet. How many secrets does it conceal? How many cities, civilizations, and stories are buried in dust and darkness, waiting patiently for discovery? Derinkuyu is but one thread woven into a vast tapestry of mysteries stretching across the globe. It is a reminder that the past is not simply behind us, but all around us, sometimes above, sometimes below, always just out of reach. The ancient astronaut's theory, whether fact or fanciful speculation, invites us to expand our vision. It asks us to look beyond the mundane and embrace the possibility that humanity's story is entwined with the stars. Are we truly alone, or are we descendants of an ancient encounter, inheritors of a cosmic legacy? Science continues to probe the depths, peeling back layers of stone and time. Archaeology uncovers artifacts, mythology preserves memories, and the stars beckon with infinite questions. In the interplay of knowledge and mystery, we find the spark of wonder that drives exploration. And perhaps this is the greatest lesson of Derinkuyu, that mystery itself is a door, a portal to discovery, understanding, and humility. To accept the unknown is to embrace the journey. So, as we close the heavy stone door behind us, leaving Derinkuyu in the darkness once more, we carry with us a question: what lies beneath and beyond?